Reflecting on antediluvian times, we contemplate a period of human history shrouded in mystery and reverence. Before the tumultuous waters that reshaped the world, there existed an age of wonder and divine intimacy. At the dawn of creation, as narrated in the book of Genesis, we witness the genesis of humanity in its purest form. A lineage of human beings endowed with unparalleled longevity, living in harmony with the divine. The story of creation unfolded, and figures such as Adam, Eve, Cain, Abel and Noah emerged as protagonists of a narrative that still resonates in our hearts today. The story takes us to a primordial event, the creation of the children of God, celestial beings who witnessed the birth of the cosmos and sang songs of joy before the magnificence of the Creator. However, among these beings, some chose a path of fall, abandoning their ethereal home to follow a destiny of darkness and rebellion. The angels, endowed with free will, faced a decision that would lead them to abandon their original state. The book of Jude reminds us that, even though the Lord saved a people from the land of Egypt, He also destroyed those who did not believe and reserved a place under darkness for the rebellious angels, awaiting the final judgment. Satan, disguised as an angel of light, led the Great Rebellion, a heavenly war against God and His faithful angels. This battle, although lost by the fallen, marked the beginning of a spiritual war that transcends our earthly understanding. The struggle against the forces of Satan persists, not as a conflict of flesh and blood, but as a spiritual battle between God's kingdom of peace and Satan's kingdom of darkness. After his expulsion from heaven, Satan established his dominion on earth, challenging divine authority and beginning a confrontation that continues to this day. In this account, we reflect on the grandeur of an era that, although distant, shaped the essence of faith and human spirituality. Antediluvian history teaches us about the sovereignty of God, the fragility of human beings and the eternal struggle between light and darkness. At the dawn of existence, God conceived Eden, a sanctuary of joy and divine communion. In this garden of endless blessings, a singular tree stood, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, whose fruit was the only one prohibited by the first humans, Adam and Eve. Satan, in the form of a cunning serpent, insinuated himself into Eden with the intention of corrupting the destiny of humanity. Employing doubt, deception, and greed, he seduced Eve into defying the only divine commandment. Their disobedience brought disillusionment to God and expulsion from paradise. The narrative continues with the next generation, where Cain and Abel, sons of Adam and Eve, personify the duality of human nature. Divine favor upon Abel and his offering incited Cain's wrath and jealousy, culminating in the first act of deadly violence, Abel's murder. God, in his justice, marked Cain, condemning him to wander as a wanderer, but also protecting him from revenge. Cain, far from Eden, founded a city and generated a lineage of craftsmen and musicians, but also of violence and transgression. In return for Cain's descent, God granted Adam and Eve another son, Seth, whose lineage perpetuated true and humble worship. It was from Seth that Noah emerged, the righteous man chosen by God to preserve creation before the imminent flood. The story of Cain and Seth reflects the eternal human conflict, the capacity for innovation and good contrasting with the propensity for conflict and evil. Post-Adam generations witnessed population growth and the accumulation of sin, foreshadowing the need for a new beginning. This ancestral era, marked by long lives and a lost proximity to the divine, reminds us of human fragility in God's sovereignty. The nascent civilization, sprouted from the children of Adam and Eve, carried with it both the promise of progress and the weight of original sin. In the fabric of time, the biblical narrative presents us with a tapestry of intertwined lives, marked by divine presence and human complexity. From Adam, the patriarch of humanity, a lineage of longevity and wisdom unfolds, where each generation transmits its legacy and learning. Adam, the progenitor of the human race, lived for 930 years, an era of existence that defies our modern understanding. His son Seth and grandson Enoch followed in his footsteps, living for hundreds of years, cultivating the land and maintaining a connection with the Creator. Among these ancients, Enoch stands out, whose life was a testimony of faith and communion with God. Unlike his contemporaries, whose lives are briefly recorded. Enoch is remembered for his intimate walk with the divine, an existence so pure that it culminated in his direct transition into the presence of God, without knowing death. With population growth, new needs and professions emerged. Cain, the farmer, and Abel, the shepherd, symbolized the diversification of social roles. Tubal-Cain and Jubal, descendants of Cain, introduced arts such as metallurgy and music, signaling the beginning of a more complex and multifaceted society. Despite advances in longevity, humanity faced increasing moral challenges. Evil intensified, and the human heart leaned more and more towards evil, leading to a world that needed a new beginning, a world that cried out for redemption. The invasion of the Nephilim, led by Satan, aimed to corrupt the human lineage, threatening the divine plan for redemption. This act of heavenly rebellion against God's creation foreshadowed a cataclysmic event that would redefine human history, the Great Flood. In this account, we reflect on the grandeur and tragedy of the antediluvian era, a chapter in human history that teaches us about the sovereignty of God, the fragility of being, and the eternal struggle between light and darkness. At the dawn of humanity, the earth witnessed the flowering of a divine creation, where the sons and daughters of Adam multiplied under the starry sky. However, this expansion brought with it an era of heavenly and earthly challenges, as recounted in the ancient texts of Genesis. The beings known as sons of God, angelic entities, observed the beauty of human daughters and, in an act of transgression, joined them. This unholy union between the heavenly and the earthly gave rise to the Nephilim, giants of renown and power, whose existence signaled an era of unprecedented corruption. Human evil, already on the rise, was exacerbated by the presence of these hybrid beings. The earth, which should be a refuge of peace and kindness, has become a scene of sin, violence, and moral degradation. Integrity and virtue were replaced by deceit and selfishness, tearing the fabric of society apart. Faced with such a scenario, the Creator contemplated his work with deep regret. Humanity, once the jewel of creation, had been lost in a sea of iniquity. God's heart was troubled, and divine sorrow echoed throughout the heavens and the earth. In the midst of the darkness, a spark of light appeared in the figure of Noah, a righteous and upright man, who walked with God. Noah represented the promise of a new covenant, a new beginning for humanity. His unshakable faith and righteousness set him apart as a beacon of hope in a world on the brink. The divine decision to purify the earth through a universal flood was painful but necessary. Noah, chosen for his faithfulness, became the architect of the ark that would preserve life and the promise of a renewed future. In this report, we reflect on the complexity of human existence, marked both by the capacity to fall and the possibility of redemption. The story of Noah and the flood teaches us about divine justice and mercy, and about the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Noah, the heir of a promise and guardian of an uncertain future, received from God a mission of epic proportions. The earth, saturated with violence and corruption, cried out for a new beginning, and Noah was chosen to be the architect of this new era. God, in his infinite wisdom, revealed to Noah the imminent destiny of humanity. With a heavy heart, but firm in his faith, Noah accepted the heavenly charge. Then God said to Noah, "I will put an end to all human beings, because their land is full of violence because of them. I will certainly destroy them along with the earth." Genesis 6:13. The ark, a colossal gopher wood structure, became the symbol of salvation. Noah, following divine instructions, built the vessel that would house life. As the ark took shape, Noah faced the scorn and disbelief of his contemporaries. But his conviction did not waver. He continued to preach and prepare, knowing that when the waters rose, the ark would be the last refuge of God's creation. Noah's faithfulness and obedience not only preserved life but also laid the foundation for a purified earth. Noah, a righteous and righteous man, became a beacon of hope in a world consumed by chaos. At the end of construction, Noah gathered his family and a remnant of all living creatures, as commanded by God. And so, the ark, full of life, floated on the waters of the flood, carrying with it the promise of a new tomorrow. May this story inspire everyone to seek virtue and faith in times of adversity, and may Noah's light continue to shine as an example of divine righteousness and obedience. May God bless everyone who shares this message of hope and renewal.